Hey guys, how's it going? I am Danconia and welcome to the Overwatch World Cup Roundup. Yes, we have our first two attendees of Blizzcon. Yes, the Incheon qualifiers for the Overwatch World Cup 2018 have taken place, and in the end, there was one or two surprising games, but it went fairly as expected. I'm going to run through quite a few fixtures here. We had a crazy amount of games. I can't go and analyse them all, because that would be a bit crazy, and this would be a very long video. But I'm going to run through a lot of fixtures right now, and a lot of them, I'm afraid to say, are 4-0s. But that's the way the World Cup goes in these early stages. We kicked off with Hong Kong taking on Russia. This was a 4-0 for Russia, as expected. Hong Kong, probably, no offence, the worst team in it. Russia are a fairly good team. 4-0 to Russia, as expected. South Korea then took on Chinese Taipei, or Taiwan, depending on how you want to say it. I think it's actually Chinese Taipei. Again, this was 4-0 to South Korea, no surprises there. South Korea are incredibly strong, one of the favourites, the holders, all that stuff. And then we have Finland taking on Hong Kong, again 4-0 for Finland. Finland probably the second best team in this qualifier. Moving on, Japan taking on Russia. This was a 3-1 to Russia. This was a slightly interesting game, because to be quite honest, Japan stood up for themselves. They really did, give as good as they got, but Russia in the end are a better team than Japan, I'm afraid, and Russia squeezed the win out. This, however, was the best game of the lot. Finland taking on South Korea. Two best teams in it. And this was a 3-2 to South Korea, but it was incredibly close. Finland made history, because I don't believe South Korea have ever lost a map in the qualifiers for a World Cup. I'm not sure whether that's right, and I have to go back to last year to know that, but it was incredibly close, and hats off to Finland. They made history. So South Korea, honestly, I don't think are going to find it as easy this World Cup, especially when you get to BlizzCon, as it was last World Cup. And last World Cup they were run real close by Canada. So that, if you're going to watch any of the games, is the best game to go and watch. Fantastic Overwatch. And actually, something to note, in these games, this is the first time we've seen Rialto played on the competitive Overwatch scene, because it wasn't used at the end of the Overwatch League, because they didn't want to stir things around. So this is the first time we're seeing Rialto in a competitive pro setting, which is really interesting. Finland had quite a unique tactic for Rialto, so it's well worth a watch. South Korea were then in action again. This was another day of fixtures against Hong Kong. Again, no surprises here that South Korea go 4-0 against Hong Kong. Chinese Taipei then took on Japan. Again, these two teams were going to struggle to get into the top 3, let alone get to BlizzCon. So, it was kind of a non-entity fixture, but Japan did win it 3-1. As expected, I think Japan are about the 4th best team in that group. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. Japan were almost at BlizzCon last year, but the way it's crumbled this year with the teams in this qualifying, I'm afraid it did look bleak for Japan. Moving on, this was a grudge match. Well, not a grudge match, but a big match. Russia versus Finland. This was basically the match for second place. At this point, South Korea probably weren't going to be caught unless they lost to Russia, which was highly unlikely. So whoever won this game was probably going to get second place and that ticket to BlizzCon in November. And on paper, Finland should win it. They do win it, but it's incredibly close. Again, another game to go back and watch. 2-1 to Finland. It's really close. There's a draw in there, and incredibly good game. GG's to Russia, because, they're a team we could have seen at BlizzCon easily. Easily could have seen in there, but unfortunately, not going to be their year. Chinese Taipei taking on Hong Kong. Again, at this point, this was a dead rubber game. 4-0 to Chinese Taipei though. Hong Kong, I'm sorry dudes, I'm sorry Hong Kong, you did kind of get pummeled in these qualifiers. Japan taking on South Korea, again no surprise that there's this, surprise is that this is a 4-0 for South Korea, sealing up their Blizzcon ticket. Japan then take on Finland, this is a 4-0 for Finland, very good result for Finland, basically sealing their place. Russia 4-0 Chinese Taipei, keeping them in it, but it's very slim that they would get through at this point. Japan taking on Hong Kong, again this is a 4-0 for Japan. Hong Kong didn't even take a map in the whole of these qualifiers. They 0 wins, 20 losses in terms of maps, 0 wins, 5 matches lost. Hong Kong, yeah, you got pummeled, I'm afraid. Yeah, not much to say about that in some respects. This was the big match though, Russia taking on South Korea. Russia had to beat South Korea if they wanted any chance of going to BlizzCon. Of course, if Russia did beat South Korea, then South Korea could have gone out entirely. That was never realistically going to happen though, was it? Let's be honest. This was a 4-0 for South Korea. This ended Russia's hopes of going to BlizzCon, pretty much, because Finland would take on Chinese Taipei. That would end in a 4-0. We highly doubted that Finland would lose to Chinese Taipei. So, that is the fixtures. There's a lot of fixtures and a lot of information. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty of what we need to know. First place went to South Korea. 19 map wins, 2 map losses, all came against Finland, so GG's to Finland. And 5 wins on the board with no losses. Finland seal up the second place, 4 wins, 1 loss against South Korea. 16 map wins, 4 map losses. Russia came in third, 12 map wins, 7 map losses. 3 wins and 2 losses in terms of matches. Japan, 4th, 8 map wins and 12 map losses. They lost 3 and won 2. Chinese Taipei in 5th, losing 4, winning 1, 15 maps lost and 5 maps won. And as I said, Hong Kong coming last place in 6th. They didn't win a map, lost all 20, and lost all 5 matches. So the 2 attendees to BlizzCon from Incheon will be South Korea and Finland, as we kind of expected, right? I don't think anyone was really surprised. South Korea were pretty much nailed on to be going through. Finland and Russia was a bit of a, perhaps Russia could surprise something here, but Finland on paper were the best team anyway. Finland have got some cracking players. South Korea have got some insane players. But honestly, early indications, just looking at like the South Korea-Finland match, this is not going to be easy this year for South Korea. It's really not. And it's going to get real interesting to see what other teams are going to put forward. We haven't seen the United States yet. We haven't seen Canada. We haven't seen the UK. We haven't seen Sweden. There's all these teams that could upset South Korea. USA came very close. Canada put up a good fight as well. Canada, I think, still had XQC, even though he got a ban on his account. So, the Canada roster is fairly similar to what it was last World Cup, and they were finalists, as we know. So it's all very interesting. Now, the Incheon qualifiers have ended. The qualifiers don't return next week. Next week will be the Overwatch League All-Star Weekend. The celebration of the Overwatch League. We've got the All-Star teams taking on each other. We've got casters taking on each other, all that. That'll be happening while I get my Overwatch League stuff up on me. Sunday, August the 26th at 1 AM Central European Standard Time. That is midnight BST. And then again at 8 o'clock Central European Standard Time. That'll be 7 o'clock BST. Again, I don't know what that is in your time zones if you're in America or anywhere else. But that is what I know for Europe and for the UK. The All-Star Weekend will be taken on that week. The World Cup returns on the 7th of September. This will be the United States qualifiers. They take place in Los Angeles, I believe at the Blizzard Arena, in the same place that the Overwatch League has taken taken all the pool audits. I don't know whether the stage will be the same. They might well change it because it's the Overwatch World Cup. I hope they don't. It's a cracking stage at the arena. The teams in this will be Canada, Austria, USA, Brazil, Switzerland, and Norway. That should be a real cracking, matchup. So we've got Canada and USA in the same qualifiers. I think they are probably the two favourites. Again, there will be a roundup, an Overwatch World Cup roundup, before then talking about the rosters for these teams and their chances and the fixtures. But I'm not going to do it in this video because it is like a good 2-3 weeks away until we get this one. So if you're missing Overwatch, I suggest go and watch the Finland-South Korea match and the Russia-Finland match. Two very good matches to go and take a look at. Also, we have the Overwatch League All-Star Weekend this coming Sunday. But that is about it for the Pro Overwatch scene. The Contenders is still going on? No, or have we crowned Contenders now? I've kind of lost my gist with Contenders a bit, considering the Overwatch League has been kind of taking over everything. So the Overwatch League All-Star Weekend this Sunday, and then on the 7th of September we are back into the Overwatch World Cup, the American Qualifiers, where we get to see Team USA and last year's runners-up, Team Canada. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. See you then.